Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for La Vuelta España 2024. Preview of the route or recap of the route reveal. It was in Madrid this week. I'm glad they did it because usually they actually do it in January, so it's out even earlier. We're starting in Portugal, in Lisbon, going into the middle of Portugal before a decent transfer on after stage 3 into the Extremadura, which is like the west of Madrid, kind of not, I think near Badajoz, it's a difficult one to pronounce. It was like Peninsular War, had a big battle there in the 1800s. Head south towards Sevilla and Cordoba and Andalusia, and then Granada, up to Santi Cazorla before another big transfer after stage 9 to Galicia, where there's so many stages in the north of Spain. Galicia and the Asturias and the Castilla y León, Burgos. Not so much in the Basque Country, actually. Only Vitoria-Gasteiz, which I think is like on the border of the Basque Country, is the only stage really in the Basque Country, mostly near like Zaragoza, the last couple of stages. So a different route. It changes every year, like odds and evens. There's a conspiracy theory that like even years has a bad route. Nothing in Catalonia, not much in Basque Country, nothing in Valencia or Alicante, nothing in the Pyrenees. First reaction, Benji.
I feel like the organization last year must have felt, okay, this start in Barcelona, completely cursed. We also met Patrick in Andorra, completely cursed. We're going to stay away 500 kilometers from that place for the entire Vuelta. Because if you look at the map, that's exactly what they're doing. They're staying away from the Barcelona area and from the Andorra area this time around. And that's not necessarily bad that they switch around. So I'm enjoying it. And I do like the Picon Blanco, Burgos era and so forth. So that whole space fits in a Vuelta very well. And when it comes to the parkour, I'm not necessarily blown away, because I feel like there's no real climb where I'm like, oh, boom, that's the kind of epic climb that I'm always looking forward to. But there's some interesting ones. I already mentioned Picon Blanco, where I was like, ooh, I like that climb. I just feel like there's only a few stages where you can really go from far out. And we'll go into that in the exact stages. I think if my name was a sprinter, if I'm a pure sprinter, then I'm probably not willing to start this Vuelta.
Hello, a sprinter.
That's one thing. Hello, sprinter. Thank you.
Yeah, the Vuelta route, Javier Gillen legit said, fuck them sprinters. Like, this is not a good route for sprinters. It is a good route for versatile sprinters. And Caden Groves, I think, can get around a fair few of these too.
Pedersen.
Or Pedersen or Van Aert. So it is... There's not nothing for them. Yeah, Thibonnet just did a little Trek preview, and we're like, his schedule doesn't match up with the races he should do. But yeah, I think it's an interesting. I initially looked at it, I was like, like that Tourmalet stage last year was so good. Like attacks on the descent of the Obisque before Spandel and action there. That was a really good stage. The Angleroo was always delivers. But, and nothing here really jumps out quite like that, but there's a lot of climbing, and I think it's a sneaky hard route, and I think there are actually some very pivotal stages. I really do. Like, there's so many uphill finishes that they kind of all blend into one, but if you really look into the gradients of a lot of them, or some of them, especially the Angleroo substitute, and there's some fake news climbs. They brought the fake news climbs back this year. Who do you think it... Oh, TTKs. How many TTKs? Like 2 TTs?
2 TTs. The first stage and the last stage in total 23 kilometers. The first stage is 12 kilometers ITT. We'll jump into it in a second. And the last stage is, I think, 21 kilometers. And they're both flat. Let's be clear about that. There's no mountain TT. There's no hilly TTs. It's a purely flat time trial. And that makes it so that the TT actually matters when there's actually TTs. Because, for example, the time trial in the Tour de France last year, obviously the gaps were gigantic, but it wasn't that a flat TT specialist could benefit overly compared to a climber necessarily. Is that a valid assessment? As in, here it's pure flat TT that you need to be able to do. So
particularly the first one. Madrid one actually has 1K 4% roller in it. It's a bit rolly. I
1K
didn't know Madrid was.
4%. If you're a professional, then you should be able to get over that.
I might
Shout out
struggle
to Mareshko.
sometimes. Yeah, Mareshko, he's getting dropped there, even in the TT. I didn't know Madrid was at 660 meters elevation. Things you learn. I just assumed all capital cities were at sea level. That's just like I thought that was the rule. Like, they had to be really low. But maybe Luke told me that. I mean, that's just the Netherlands.
They're under sea level in the Netherlands.
First thinking is that it really suits Pogačar, as most Vuelta parkour do. Second is that it really, really suits Roglic, as most Vuelta parkour do. And particularly this one over last year. Like, I wouldn't say hand on heart that the Tourmalet stage is the best for Roglic, but there isn't a Tourmalet stage. This is like Moncalvillo and even his, maybe my favorite road stage of his ever. That finale returns in this year, which we'll get into in a second. So there are some climbs you'll be familiar with and some new ones as well. But yeah, a lot of uphill. So without much further ado, Benji, do you want to get into the stage-by-stage analysis with some picks?
Yes, sir. Let's start with stage 1. Lisboa to Oeiras. So we're starting in Portugal, which I think that's pretty fun.
I
hope that Almeida does the Tour de France Vuelta double then, because you'd want to see Almeida or any Portuguese big rider to start here. Even Costa still, I want to see him starting. Morgado, I want to see ride his first Grand Tour here for UAE, which that might not happen, but
I thought this one would be hillier. Didn't you? Like, Lisbon's hilly. No, this Lisbon's hilly.
Well, the time trial isn't, so hey, I don't know if Lisbon's hilly. I've never been there.
All I see is people saying it's really hilly. And there's cobbles and pave and stuff.
That being said, the time trial's flat.
So who's winning it?
Who's winning it? Let's take a look at the year schedule for a second. We've got Worlds after the Vuelta again?
Yep.
Right?
Late Worlds, yep. Back in its normal slot.
Olympics after Tour de France?
Tour?
Who will ride the Vuelta? That could be good in time trials. In between the Olympics and the Worlds.
Depends, like, is Ganna or Remco or Van Aert going to do it? Anyway, I'll go with Van Aert to win this TT.
Okay, I'll allow it. Your turn for stage 2.
Stage 2. Stage 2 is from Cascais. So, yeah, we don't go to the Algarve region where we're familiar with, maybe because we see Malhau and Foyer enough. But from Cascais inland to Urem, it is a sort of light medium mountain stage. This is a sprint stage. This is as good as you're going to get. Little uphill finish. Alto de Batalla is there, like 6Ks, 3.4%, but there's loads of climbing all day. Actually going to be a very, very difficult stage to control unless there's two strong teams wanting a sprint. This could be a breakaway stage. I'm going to go with Rui Costa. Rui Costa wins.
Nice.
Takes
I'm
red.
Go for, by the way, I'm saying Skelmos wins stage 1, the time trial. Why not? It's one of the names that's on the board, so I might as well say it. But when it comes to stage 2, it is curious, because like it is the kind of hilly parkour, but I also feel like the gradients aren't necessarily shouting that it's super difficult. Is it the kind of parkour where you feel like it's hidden difficulty?
I think there's a lot of accumulated climbing in it, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Pedersen for this one.
It's a nice stage for him too. He should have no problem with those. Stage 3 is actually much of a muchness. Sorry, I always do this. You got to do odds. Sorry.
Lausa to Castelo Branco, 191 kilometers. The last stage that is in Portugal, really. And I feel like these Portuguese starter stages are a bit underwhelming.
I agree. I'm a little bit disappointed. Actually, quite a bit disappointed.
There's some hills at the start here, but it's like 3%, 4%. So it's just for break formation. Midway the stage, there's a 17-kilometer climb at 3%. Bit of a fake news climb because there's a few descents in there, but it's not crazy when it comes to gradients either. That probably won't be making a difference because it's still like 120 kilometers from the finish line. And then there's another small hill of 5.8 kilometers at 3%, about 50 kilometers from the line. So this is a reduced sprint for me. And I might even say that this is a more pure sprint than stage 2 to me. So what sprinters are going to the Vuelta? Probably not the greatest sprinters of
Caden Groves.
humankind. Is Caleb Ewan going to the Vuelta?
True. It makes sense for them to send... Yeah, okay. You're going Ewan, I'm going Groves then.
Yeah, exactly. The Australians are sharing this one.
Like this year, didn't they do stage 3 finished on Aronsal? We saw Remco against Vingegaard and Co. He won. Like there was supposed to be a punch earth stage on Montjuic, but the weather didn't play ball. But yeah, like a flat short TT and 2 kind of misc stages.
There's nothing iconic.
Yeah. It would have been great to have like just an iconic climb. It can become an iconic Portuguese climb, but that's not the case. But stage 4, we do get into some pretty serious territory as we go down to Pico Villarcas, which is, I think this is in the Extremadura. So we're into Spain now, 166.6 kilometers starting in Plasencia to Pico Villarcas, which I think they've used before. This is actually, I think this is actually a hard stage straight away.
Yes.
This is a proper mountain stage, and this is even like a Cus Havalambre style stage where you have 2 proper climbs at the start where shit could kick off. 9.7 K is 5.2%. Then Pure Null, which was in the Vuelta that Remco won, where as a finishing climb, I think is better in its position here. 14 K is 5.5%. You know, stuff could kick off there, and it can because it's just the right amount of difficult where domestiques can jump and it's annoying to chase. Then there's a valley of 40 Ks before it picks up again, another valley of 40 Ks. So it's essentially a valley of 100 Ks, more or less, with a couple of climbs in there before the start of the Pico Villarcas, which is a fake news climb. It says 15.3 K, 6.2%, but the first 10 Ks are nothing, 5%, 4%, before you hit the ramp. The Collado de Ballesteros, Sevi Ballesteros, 3Ks, 13.5% on my sheet. 3Ks, 13.5%. That's Les Preres after climbing already for 10Ks.
I looked at this stage and I had some difficulty figuring out which side of the Pico Villarcas we were climbing, but it is the north side. We're coming from the north from
Is that different? I don't remember it being this irregular.
You've got the north, you got northeast. The eastern side is more gradual but still steep. And the north side is really where it has that ramp, that 3-kilometer ramp that you're talking about. So that's the side we have this time around. And it kind of reminds me of, is the Mini Fedaya?
Mini Fedaya. It is kind of similar, isn't it? It doesn't have the high altitude, obviously.
Yeah.
But
how much difference can a human make on a 3-kilometer, 13.5 roughly % gradient with some shallower sections afterwards, like 2 kilometers at 6% roughly until the finish line? I reckon you could put time into people, and
yeah, I think this is a serious stage.
The gaps won't be 5 minutes, but it could be a minute between some riders.
I think it could be big gaps here. And a minute in the Vuelta is like a 2.5 minute tour gap, or like a 3-minute Giro gap. Like a minute in the Vuelta is a lot, particularly with only a 20K TT at the end. I think this is a really big stage, and I think it really could kick off here early. And so I think the breakaway wins, and I think a GC rider wins from the breakaway. I'm going to go with Jai Hindley.
Ooh, a GC rider wins from the breakaway? Sepp Kuss style, Jai Hindley. I'm liking that. I'm liking that idea. I'm going to go for the return of the defending Eagle GC Kuss.
He just does it again.
He does it again.
Why
No!
don't change your winning formula? Imagine though, Jumbo and Bora, they got Roglic and Vingegaard say in the Vuelta, and they just sit in the GC group and they're like, actually, we're going to let our GC Kuss and Hindley fight it out. Who's happier in that situation?
I don't know. I feel like it. If I gotta be honest, I feel like Roglic's schedule will be LBL Tour de France Vuelta, and this might be the situation where you have a breakaway rider winning as a consequence of Roglic already being close in GC, playing it rather defensive as a team here, because he knows he can make a difference regardless of winning the stage on that 3-kilometer ramp towards the end. We know that Pogacar is doing Giro Tour, so he's probably not adding the Vuelta onto that, depending on whether he has a death wish or something. So
no, he won't do Vuelta. No. He's doing Canadian Classics. But Hindley will want to. Hindley, surely, if he's doing the Tour as a domestique, will want to say, "Hey, okay, but the Vuelta, I get half a chance, right?"
Roglic is better.
He is, but anyway, I think this is this could be a cracker. I'm really looking forward to this stage.
Why are we trying to predict a Grand Tour that has no start lists a year from now?
That's the way to do it. Yeah, because what if we get one of the 21 right a year in advance? You just clip that one and say, "Oh, they're profits." We get the other 20 stages of riders who aren't even going to race it. All right, you hit me with stage 5, Benji.
Stage 5, Fuente del Mestre to Sevilla. Sprint. Like it's undulating for the first 130 kilometers, but this is a sprint stage, pure sprint stage. So
it's going to be hot as fuck.
Soupes comes back for the second year in a row, winning a sprint stage at La Vuelta. So yeah, Geoffrey Soup is my pick.
Yeah, for sprint Sevilla, it is going to be cooking down there at that time of year. Next stage from it says from the Carrefour Jerez de la Frontera, and they're going to Junquera. It's a medium mountain stage. It's tough to know because I haven't looked into every single climb. But a lot of these are probably a little bit more difficult in parts, definitely more difficult in parts than their average gradient. But it's rolly all day, 181 Ks. Can't really see, but it doesn't have that big finish.
Yeah.
That big, horrible climb to really make... Yeah, it's a breakaway stage, Jesus Ferrada or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good pick. I applaud that. I will go with Marc Soler.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Why not there? Stage 7, Archidona to Cordoba, 179 kilometers. It's completely flat, roughly, except for the last 30 kilometers that has a hill of 7 kilometers at 6%, which I like this kind of shit because it looks like the last portion of the climb is a bit steeper than the first 2 kilometers, so this might ramp up to... This is the Alto del 14%, so there has to be a 14% section somewhere. The title says it, so I'm guessing there's a 14%. Every climb should be called like that. The Alto del 14%. Who the fuck invented that?
Del 14%. What the fuck? What is it like? Bizarre. This looks like the Roglic. This is the Roglic No Risk No Glory stage, right?
Yeah, exactly. He should.
No,
he probably won't.
It looks like that sort of stage profile. Cordoba has the beautiful mezquita in there, so if you do want to go, I really like that. It's like a cathedral and a mosque built on top of each other.
Is it too difficult for Pedersen? I think yes. If it's called Alto del 14%.
If something in the Vuelta is called an Alto del 14%, I'll just take their word for it that it's serious business. I think this is break again. I would have said Michael Storer, but I'm going with Carlos Verona.
No. Get the fuck out of here. Alex fucking Aramburu, the descending guru, is winning the stage.
He'll lead someone out for sure. And maybe someone else will win.
The return of Valverde.
I'd love to see... This is the sort of stage Garcia Cortina should be winning.
But Aramburu is a better version of Garcia Cortina, so...
No, he can't sprint, man.
Garcia Cortina can't climb. He can't fucking descend.
He climbs okay.
Aramburu climbs better.
Of course, he climbs much better. But
Cortina gets dropped here.
Listen, put them both in, see what happens. Stage 8. But yeah, Movistar got to go all in for the break, I think, on that stage. Stage 8 from Ubera to 5-star week for Santi Cazorla. No, it's Cazorla. It is another Jesus Ferrada stage. It's like 160 Ks, medium mountain. A lot, 100 Ks to control, 7K 5% climb. Again, medium mountain rolling before Yeah, it's a fake news climb again. There's steep sections, but we saw this on stage 9. It got neutralized. Even if it hadn't been neutralized, the riders didn't know that at the time this year, at the start, that it was going to be neutralized. They were happy to let that break go. And who won? No, Crone got dropped. Has Harada won ahead of Crone and Thomas?
Yes.
Or Kamna? I can't remember. Kamna won the version of this stage this year.
Ahead of Sobrero.
Yes.
The one where the neutralization of GC was halfway in the last climb because there was some mud on the road.
To end the weirdest first week ever.
The winner of this stage is Roglic.
Oh, you reckon? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because, like, bonies, baby.
Yes.
Free bonies.
Exactly. And if you see the setup, it's looking like it's going to be Roglic versus Vingegaard in this Vuelta. And then I think Roglic will need these bonus seconds to fight against Vingegaard in the larger mountains that are to come. And then we look at stage 9, which is Motril to Granada, 178 kilometers. I love this stage. 178 kilometers, slightly undulating for the first 80 kilometers, but nothing too notable. Then we start the Puente El Purque. Purque? That sounds like, why? 8.8 kilometers, 7.8%. That is the kind of climb you want in a medium mountain stage. In a raid stage, I must say.
You call this is this medium mountain?
This is a medium mountain stage, my dude.
I don't know.
Stage 9. We're looking at the same stage. El Purque plus twice El Hazalanas.
Can you call it? It's not medium mountain. They're in Granada. They're going to 1,700 meters. It's got like 4,500 meters elevation gain in like.
Oh, you mean it's a mountain stage? I thought you were saying it's a hill stage.
I think it's a high mountain stage. Hill stage.
High mountain stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
for the Vuelta, maybe.
Yeah, for this Vuelta, it definitely is.
The Giro would be pissing on these fucking altitude meters.
No, the Giro gave us the Vuelta route next year.
No, that's true. That being said, this is a raid stage.
It's a raid stage, I agree with you. Sorry, did you run us through Hazalanas?
I did not. So, like I said, El Purque is midway the stage, 8.8 kilometers, 7.8%. But then after that, it's basically a small hill before we run into Alto de Hazalanas, which is 7.5 kilometers, 9.2%. Descent, same fucking climb again, 7.5 kilometers, 9.2%. Descent to the finish. So, this is going to be
epic. And that's
epic.
a fake news climb. Hazalanas, I think they're doing the same direction they did in 2021. This is where Roglic Remco attacked Roglic. Roglic attacked Remco.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, Jumbo full sent it, and Roglic attacked Remco, I think.
Oh, Hazalanas was the first portion of the Sierra Nevada.
This is the start
climb,
of Sierra Nevada. So yeah, so basically the Vuelta is, I think they've given up on Sierra Nevada because you can't go above 2,500 meters, and there's like a lot of like ecological issues with holding the race in the national park in Sierra Nevada. So like originally they wanted to go to 28 or 2,900 meters for a stage. So they're just doing reps of that initial Hazalanas, which is a fake news climb, really, really steep. At the start in particular, remember Ayuso and Almeida dropped early on this. I don't know how technical the descent is off it towards Granada, but this should be a crack. This is, as you said, this is a raid stage. Like this is throw multiple guys. There's essentially 5 climbs because the Guejar Sierra climb before Hazalanas, you can also go there. And I'm really looking forward to this. It's 7.5K, it's 9.2%. It's like a 25-minute climb.
Pretty good. Like, I actually don't know who I like. This is GC to me, and the only 2 names that I've written down are Roglic and Vingegaard for GC. You've got Hindley written down as well from the first few days. And who's willing to do a raid? I feel like Roglic is willing to do that, but I feel like it might not be in his best interest necessarily because he might get countered by Jonas. Is there a third competitor that likes raids? Is Carapaz riding this, for example? Because something Carapaz would do.
Is Remco's not doing the Vuelta?
No.
I'm going to go with Roglic. Roglic wins the group. Little small reduced sprint. No one's able to drop him on it. That's my pick.
I'll allow it. I'll go. I'll let you go to the next stage because I've got no clue.
first rest day, then we go into stage 10. Pontierias to Bayona. This is another medium mountain stage, but the climbs are all at 6%, although there's 3 quite long put together. I really don't see... It's so hard that no sprinter team can or will have the appetite to control it. It's not hard enough with the last major climb, 30 k's from the finish only being 6%. I really don't... This is breakaway, I think, again. And this one I'm going with Alex Aaron Broe. I think this is a nicer one for him.
I won't say no to that, so I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to copy-paste that into my schedule as well. Aaron Broe is winning today as well. And, nah, fuck. Izagirre is winning this one for me.
Ah, yeah, true. That's
Mr.
He
Young.
always is so good. Time for stage 11, Benji.
Yes. It's going from Campus Tecnológico Cortizo to Campus Tecnológico Cortizo. So they're... Let's hope it's got nothing to do with cortisol or something. Is that medication or?
No, it's just a place.
Okay.
And it's spelled differently.
Stage 11, 163 kilometers. It's got hills throughout, but it's so fucking odd of a stage. It's like, it reminds me of...
It's an aluminium company, I think.
Hey. I can't even make a joke about aluminium.
Techno Dream, move over. Holy.
There's hills throughout, but it's all 4% hills, and the last hill is the one that matters, which is, it's in the last 10 kilometers, the Puerta Cruceras. 2.8 kilometers at 9.2%. This is, for me, Ben Healy wins from the breakaway with Roglic taking the stage, taking the GC reins.
Schelmoser wins.
Solid take, but he might be stuck in G.
Yeah, I like the break winning again. Again, this is for the poor old sprinters don't have much to go with. The next stage, 130.8 k's from Urense to Estación de Montaña de Manzanera. It is a Unipuerto stage with some rolling uncategorized medium mountains beforehand. There is a 3k 8% climb out of the neutral zone for the break to form. So a strong break can form immediately despite it being a short stage. They won't be allowed to get much leash if GC wants to win. You would think this would be, again, Roglic bonus territory. But I'm going to go with Carapaz. I think he's fallen out of GC for some strange reason, and he does his 2022 Vuelta, and this is him.
Roglic wins 16 kilometers at 4.7% at the finish line. I've seen no one else winning this than Roglic, and I think that changes. Yeah, true. I think that changed on stage 13, 171 kilometers from Lugo to Puerto Ancaras, which... Is this just not a mini Angliru? It's not the same.
No, we got that. That's no.
But look at the gradients too. It's like the last 5 kilometers is 12% average. It's not the same as Angliru, but what can I compare that to?
Is Ancaras that steep at the finish?
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Is that a mini Lusari?
It's kind of like Fedaya. Yeah.
I don't know what to compare it to, but basically this entire stage has some hills through it, but it will all be fought out on the final climb. Has a run-in climb to it of 6.7 kilometers, 5.8%. But then basically with about 8 kilometers to go, we start the Puerto Ancaras, which the first 3 kilometers is pretty easy, like 2.8, 3%, 6%. But then the last 5 kilometers is 12, 12.5, 11.3, 12.2, 11.5%. And those have gradients up to 17% in there. So yeah. 5k at 12%. This shit gotta be hard. Is this hard enough for Vingegaard to make a difference on Roglic? It might. It's difficult for me. I feel like there's no real Vingegaard climb in this race so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's hard enough. I'm not sure it is difficult or long enough. If it was 11 k's at 9%, maybe, but
we're talking about
7 k's.
We're talking about Jumbo Roglic here. We don't know if Roglic is going to be at the same level at Bora. We don't know that. Let's be honest about when riders switch teams, they can be different. So Roglic, Angliru style, should be able to hang on to Vingegaard on this climb in my head.
Yeah. I think so. I think I would go with Roglic probably to win this on this climb. Stage 14, it is like the sort of the longest climb of the race almost. It's it's the longest stage of the race. It's 199 Ks because we're not allowed stages over 200 Ks in the Vuelta, from Villafranca del Bierzo to Villablino. It is basically soft, like false. It's false like uphill for like 100 Ks, apart from like a 4% climb, and then a long false light descent, and then a shallow 23K 4.5% climb. This is like breakaway all day, and I'm gonna double down with Carlos Verona from the break on that, because I think it's a climb that suits him quite a lot. I haven't mentioned someone like Santiago Buitrago either. Maybe he could win from the maybe someone quality could win from the break on the stage before, but
you forgot about the narwhal.
Gijs Leemreizer.
Okay, nah, maybe not.
I always I never picked the Bahrain riders, but they win like 3 stages of every Grand Tour. Like, yeah.
But
Bilbao would be so good on this.
You're looking at a 4% climb, man. Like,
yeah. I guess you got to play numbers, and
what?
Bilbao for the descent is good, and he's got a good sprint. He's a good pick for this.
A reduced sprinter that can get over this. 23 kilometers, 4%. Can't be that fucking hard, right? I can get over this if you give me a few hours.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but they're gonna race it. They're all gonna attack each other.
It's basically 5 times the Poggio.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, you're right.
Who you got?
I actually don't know what's gonna happen on the stage. I could not tell you.
This is such a weird stage. I'll tell you that. Ironclad guarantee.
Quinn Simmons. There we go.
I can't remember who I went with. I'm gonna go with Bilbao and change my pick.
Or Nico Denz.
The enemy. Nah. As if he'll be allowed to win breaks with Roglic in the team.
Yeah, that's the only thing that spoils my thing, but just forget about it. Stage 15, in Fiesta to Cuitu Negru, which is 142 kilometers. And this is basically the last mountain that will matter. And the last mountain in this stage, in this 140 kilometer stage, is 25 kilometers long if you take in every kilometer. But let's be honest, it's only really the last 19 kilometers that are really climbing. The first 5 are 1%, 2%, so it's flat. But the last 19 kilometers of this climb is really bloody steep. This climb says 7% over like 19 kilometers. But there's 10% segments already in the first 2 kilometers. Kilometers that are 7% and 4%, 7%, 8%, 8%, 4%, 4%, 4%, 6.5, 7, 8, 11. But that kilometer, which is about 7 kilometers from the top, is like 13%, 15%, 12% all throughout that kilometer, which this is just before they reach the Puerto de Pajares. And then we've got a bit of a moment where it switches from the Puerto de Pajares climb to the actual Cuitu Negru climb, where the last half, which is the last 3 kilometers of the stage basically, is super steep. 14%, 12%, 15%. And I don't know if this is the one you're pointing at when it comes to Angliru. I don't see it as the same, but I also don't know what to compare it to.
Well, it's next to the Angliru. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I could just be making that up, but I'm pretty sure it's nearby. I got Vingegaard winning this. That 3K 13% ramp to the highest point of the race in a 1 hour climb. If he's not going to win here, where is he going to win in this race? Yeah. I do think there's enough beforehand that there's a lot of climbing in this stage in such a short package. Like, that valley looks long, and it is a reasonable length. It's like 35 Ks, but in such a short stage, I think Vingegaard wins this one.
I think so as well. But the question that we have, we can answer it after we go through the stages. That comes in my head is this enough for Vingegaard to outweigh the time that Roglic has made throughout all the stage wins we've given him? Because there's
This
bonus
stage
seconds
alone?
available.
No.
I don't know. I can't tell you, because if
And a flat
Vingegaard's second
TT.
on stages, then he's not going to gain 10 seconds every stage. So I don't know. I have to think about it. But anyway, on to Lagos.
You gotta give Roglic the TT edge, I think, as well.
Depends on the day.
I would. On those flat ones. And that'll be a very, very exciting stage 15. And that marks the second rest day. We then have stage 16 from Luanco to Lagos de Covadonga, which is one of Roglic's best ever victories, where he sealed the Vuelta in emphatic fashion in 2021. One of his highest level performances, with back-to-back 30-minute climbs, 25-minute climbs, starting to go through Gijon, which is on the north coast. We're still on the north coast, by the way, and great area for like tourism, I think, personally. Underrated. They've got a 7K, 8% climb, the Mirador de Fito. There's loads of other uncategorized medium mountains climbs, and then the Collada Yomena. This is where
climbs.
Oh yeah, hill things.
There's a difference. We got to get the categories right, my friend. We've got
uncategorized
hills,
uphill things,
which I consider as hills between 500 meters and 5 kilometers. Medium mountains to me is 5 to 10 kilometers in length. And proper mountains is above 10 kilometers for me. What's your description like?
Oh, it depends on the gradient. I wouldn't call the Puerto de Ancares medium mountain. And that's shorter than 10Ks.
Nah,
but anyway,
I would.
Okay, well, it's a hard medium mountain. We then have the Collada Yomena, where Bernal attacked in 2021 in the rain with Roglic on his wheel. They sent the descent. Vlasov crashed. Bahrain were chasing with Tratnik and Pools in the valley for Jack Haig's GC position, I think. Great stage. And then Roglic cooked everybody on Covadonga. Very, very strong performance. That climb is 12Ks, 7%. It's fake news because there's literally 2 descents in it. It's actually like 9Ks, 9%. And we can get rain in this region. Really nice stage. And it was fireworks then, and they're hoping for fireworks again because Ineos, I think, were pacing very hard before then, and you can do that on this stage. Who have you got?
Well, it's Roglic or Vingegaard. I don't know who's gonna win this, man. Like,
could be a break.
Nah, this is GC. I'm not having it. This is a Roglic or Vingegaard. I'm not having it. I have no clue who wins this. This is because like 9 kilometers, 9% is like in between the two of me.
Mikel Landa wins this one, baby.
Are we underrating Vingegaard's shorter climb performances in this fucking podcast?
Yeah, of course, Vingegaard. I would actually pick Vingegaard for this, but I want to be a bit different, so I'm just going with Landa. Even though, of course, like he's. But yeah, I would take Vingegaard.
I think so as well. Next stage 17, bloody sprint stage. There's 2 hills in the middle of it, but they don't matter because we don't care about them because they're gradients. There's actually one with decent gradient, 6 kilometers at 8.9, 8.8%, but it's like...
It's so far from the finish, though.
It's 100K from the finish, so good luck. So yeah, sprint stage for whoever the fuck's still in the race when it comes to the sprinters. Because
I'll pick
I don't see much incentive for them to stay after stage. Well, let me check.
What team is Pascal Ackermann on?
Israel.
Yeah, I'll go with him.
Mate, if you're a sprinter, I'm not staying past day 7.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long time to wait. We haven't said sprint for a long time. Jesus.
And it's a last opportunity as well. Maybe. Depends on the next stage. How you see that.
From Vitoria-Gasteiz to the Maitsu Park Natural de Izki. It is a hilly sort of medium mountain stage, 170 Ks. I
Mate,
think
you're using medium mountain stage very, very quickly.
I think it's a light medium mountain stage.
Because we have categorizations within now. A light mountain stage, a heavy mountain stage, a heavy medium mountain stage. We're expanding our vocabulary.
It's a Michael Matthews stage, so I'm going to go with bling. This is.
Michael Matthews stages haven't existed for the last 3 years, my friend. This is a Corbin Strong stage.
Oh, yeah, I wish I mentioned him. But yeah, this is Michael Matthews. He wins
Corbin Strong. Other New Zealander?
Yep. Yeah, you got it right.
Nearly said Australian there. Stage 19, Logroño to Alto del Moncalvillo. It's basically a Unipuerto stage because the climb in the middle is 5.3 kilometers, 4.9%. So I'd look at the Moncalvillo climb as 8.5 kilometers at 9%. It is relatively even in gradient, I believe. It's not like there's suddenly a 20% segment in there. So
this was Carapaz against Roglic, right? In 2020.
Oh yes, that is true. That Vuelta was actually really good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was actually much better than it's being credited as. Carapaz has made some good fucking Grand Tours, my friend.
And people were like, oh, this isn't that great a route, but all these climbs and stages that we used before they were good.
Yes, but it's also, I think this race will be declared depending on how competitive Vingegaard and Roglic will be against each other going into this race.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what the parkour is. Everyone, if those two are in good form, everyone's going to be salivating to watch them go head to head, day in, day out, if they're in sort of equal. So I'm going to go with Wout Poels from the break. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Jonas because the likelihood of me getting GC riders right versus getting a random breakaway rider right is bigger.
Skill issue.
Thank you. So Jonas, it is for me on this stage, but that brings us towards the Queen stage, right?
The best stage. Yeah. Oh, I think a couple of the other stages are being slept on by people, but this is got 5,000.
Is that what you're saying?
What do you mean?
Are you saying that?
No, not by you. No, not by you. I mean because we're doing this late. I mean the reaction I saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
A day ago. I think. No, I agree with you on the stages, but this stage, I think, is a cracker. 5,000 meters elevation, 171 k's from Vilargao to Picon Blanco. There is no flat. There is no flat. It is, medium mountain all day. Some would say high mountain. There even is 2 Category 1 climbs in there, which by definition would suggest high mountain.
No, it's a big medium mountain.
It's a heavy medium mountain, and then the hardest climb is there. But they're all 5.8%. They are irregular. They're jagged, so there are steeper sections in there. You can make this stage unbelievably hard if you have a strong team. And then the hardest climb is the final one, Picon Blanco. You'll know it well. It was in the Vuelta in 2021 when Bala was pulling for Enric and someone won from the breakaway. Tarame won.
Tarame, I think.
It's 7.6 k's, 9.1%. It's in the Vuelta a Burgos every year. It's can be really foggy, 1,500 meters, steep. I think you can lose how much time can you lose? It's only 7.5 k's.
Nairo Quintana rage quits mid-stage, Lopez style. That's my prediction.
Are they going to send him and Enric to the Vuelta, do you reckon?
Come on, you gotta do it. If Quintana's going to the Giro and Mas is going to the Tour, then they're both going to the Vuelta, is how I see it. And this stage is a medium mountain raid stage once again, and those are the ones we love in La Vuelta. This is the shit we want to see. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is that the gradients of each climb is 5 to 6% on paper. Yeah. I haven't seen the individual climbs, but they don't necessarily seem to me like the climbs that suddenly have a very steep segment in it that I'm currently not seeing. So let's hope that is the case, because that gives because the worry that I have is that I remember was the Vuelta that Remco won, the stage 20, that we had a lot of we had a lot of hills in there,
Yeah,
medium
that
mountains.
was terrible.
And last year we had the same with stage 20, but the gradients weren't serious enough to the point that there was no jumping point. In a medium mountain raid stage, you want to have attrition climbs initially for the breakaway to form. You want to have multiple climbs afterwards where one of them is like, or multiple of them, are like a jumping point where you can really go. So the steep enough sections to really hurt others and make gaps on others. And the last portion, not necessarily have it be the hardest part of the stage, because you want people to want to have satellite riders ahead. Going into the final segment, then there's no real value for the satellite riders to be valuable here. And Picon Blanco is the hardest climb of them all and comes at the end, which that's my one downfall of the stage, that I fear that Picon Blanco might be so hard we might not see people attack 70 kilometers from the finish line.
It depends on the GC positions, obviously.
Correct.
But I'm
if
looking
Vingegaard's
in now
behind, he's
doing...
going to attack.
Yeah, of course. Or Roglic probably. Like, you can't wait. But I think I'm just looking into the Alto del Caracol, which is in the middle of the stage. That's got it's a fake news climb. It's got 3Ks in the middle, averaging 8%. Then there's 2Ks at 8% at the end of it.
But it's
the
too early
Portillo,
in my head.
that's too early. But then you got the Portillo de Lunara, and there's 3Ks at the end of that which average 8.8%.
I think that's the one.
So there is, and if you get even more granular, maybe it's even more irregular. So
the reason
if I take
that Lunada is the one for me is that you want to be able to form the breakaway initially in this stage, and you want the gap to be able to expand to the point that you have satellite riders ahead, and that one attack might not catch them yet. So you can't go on the Caracol in my head yet because the gap might not be big enough yet. And then on the Lunada, the gap might still expand a bit before you hammer it with your team behind. And then if you bridge, it might take until the start of the descent of the Sia, which is the next climb, to catch your satellite rider, which will help on that descent and on the actual Los Tomos climb that runs you into Picon Blanco.
I think that is the right spot. No, I agree with you. Like, I think Caracol is too early. And it has to be one of these two. So either the longer one, and I put the filter step just then, and, apparently there's 500 meters at like 17% at the end of Lunada. I don't know if that's correct. It might not be 100% correct, but I think...
It is now. We're going to build it
I
if
think
not.
Yeah, we will build a wall.
LRCP community activity.
LRCP build a wall. And then the
That's
Portillo
a
de la
weird
Sia.
fucking statement.
There needs to be more ramp pass in this race. And then the end of that Portillo de la Sia is averages 7% for 5 kilometers. So but without the ramp pass. So I think it's a beautiful stage. Of course, if there's a dominant team with a rider in a dominant GC position, you can put the best parkour and nothing will happen. If you have people who are behind and want to take risks, you can have chaos, like we saw in 2021, where Lopez rage quit. That was the end of his start of the end for him, I think. Who have you got
for the stage? Oh God, I've got the thing I got for this one. Yes, I believe Jumbo will destroy this energy expenditure wise. This might not be the satellite rider stage that I'm hoping it will be, because Jumbo might try and control it and push hard to benefit from Roglic's potential alleged weakness in high expenditure stages.
Yes.
And that brings us to your pick.
Fuck, I don't know. Leonard Kemner.
We'll take it.
Yeah, Leonard on Fedaya was pretty good. Pretty damn good. So
the Aramburu disrespect.
Was he good on Fedaya?
No, that he's gonna win the stage, of course.
if Aramburu wins this stage, I'll look at him a whole different light. I'll be like, why would they try and make him a sprinter? He's a GC rider. Hell, this whole time.
talking about Anamburu stage. Stage 21
No,
is a
enough
22
with this
kilometer
guy.
time trial.
Yeah, and then he beat Swapana and Tarling in the TT after winning mountaintop finish. This guy, where's he been hiding it this whole time?
Is Starling at this race?
Oh, sure.
After the Olympics,
No.
he might actually.
Before Worlds, after the Olympics.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know. I think
World
no, I
TT
think
is a bit too difficult for him.
they'll do Renewey or something. Bingo bongo.
Probably.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Distrito Telefonica sounds like a sponsor of the Vuelta again. To Madrid, 22 kilometers. And, well, it's a flat TT with a 1 kilometer, 4% segment, according to Anna Cross me.
Medium mountain.
Medium mountain time trial.
Yeah.
I'm going with.
It could be a weird one.
Chad Haga returns from the dead.
Yeah, I reckon go super weird on this one.
Isn't he retired? Doesn't he ride for like Legion or something, which is basically the same as retired?
He rides for he's retiring at the end of this year officially.
Okay, so he's not winning. That's it. Remy Cavagna. What are you doing? It looks like you're singing.
I'm trying to think who
Looks like
owns
it's
a
hurting.
TT bike.
Who owns a TT bike? Oh my god. Lorenzo Milesi.
He's on Movistar now. Yeah, so he'll do the Giro. Movistar had so many Hispanophones reluctant to do the Giro after the cold weather this year. They just had to draft in Italians so they could convince someone to do it.
They're becoming a winter team now.
Yeah, well, no, they're like, look, fellas, you're going to go with Chiandri to the Giro.
Mate, it's Wout van Aert, eh?
Yeah, Wout van Aert.
That's it.
That's it. That's the Vuelta. I think. How would you rate this? That's route. Would you give it a thumbs up? Would you give it a thumbs down, Benji? What's your rating out of 10?
I love how you're trying to trigger the gestures of your Apple computer, but nothing's happening. So congratulations, my friend. And there we go. Anyway, I would give it a 65 to 70% upward thumb.
You're giving it the Joaquin Phoenix Gladiator?
Like, no, the slightly upwards Joaquin Phoenix Gladiator.
Okay. I give it a 7. I agree.
The problem is, ever since that dog attacked you, when you try and give you a thumbs up, it looks like you're giving a thumbs down.
No, it's not my thumb. No. That's my normal thumb, dude. The dog, the pit bull, the 80 kilo XL bully that attacked me.
The dog becomes bigger every time you tell the fucking story.
80 kilos. You know how big that is?
Tomorrow's
It's banned
gonna be an
in the
elephant,
UK
guys.
now. Yeah. Okay. Actually, no. Seriously, they also have wolves in Spain, so we don't even know. Anyway, my thumbs just can hyperextend. I'm just built different. 7 out of 10. I wish there was actually a hockey stick stage. There's no Rampas hockey stick stage like Valdepenas de Jaén, unless I missed something. I really like those stages where you can just nap, siesta, then bang, a 3K 10% wall or even shorter. We're missing that, which is, I'm not saying they're the most exciting stages, but that is,
your score has been hit because it's not boring enough so you can't go to sleep?
No, not well, no, it's more like stage 6, for example. That does nothing for me. Stage 6 does nothing for me. I would rather that was a hockey stick. And we got to see just Roglic
you can sleep on
go
stage
turbo mode. On stage 8? Oh, true, that is kind of it. That's true, because all the stages, like the Beches stage, still not. That is Rampas. I also, there's nothing over like 1,850 meters. There are hard climbs. I would have liked to seen something in the Pyrenees. I live there. It doesn't have to come to Andorra, but I would have liked to have seen something in the Pyrenees. I think some of the mountain stages are a little bit mid, to be honest, and they remind me of the 2022 mountain stages, like Pional. So, like, that 23K, like, there's plenty of breakaway stages in this race. But, for example, Benji, what I'm referring to is stage 14. What is that? 200 Ks of mid. 200 Ks of mid.
Yeah. That's a stage that doesn't know his identity.
Yeah. So change that out for a proper high mountain stage, and then maybe just make. Oh, fuck, I don't know. I mean, but then stage 15 and 16, I think, are harder than people think. I think they're really good. So they're on the other side of the rest day. And also, there was a super hard stage 14 this year where nothing happened. I used to try to send it. Who do you think, now we've gone through it, Benji? I think it suits Roglic a lot more than this year. I think it's a really good route for Roglic. The TTs are good for him. Yeah. Particularly a power 12K TT. He's really good, those Spanish opening TTs. Yeah. He's really good at those. There's no high altitude. There's no super long stages. There's no super long climb finishes. There's climbs he's done well on in the past. I think it's a perfect route for Roglic. But Vingegaard's also good at those climbs.
I think Vingegaard wins this Vuelta over Roglic, and the reason I think that is that Roglic never really gains 30 seconds in a stage. He gains 5 seconds there, 4 seconds there, and so forth. And I think the one time or the 2 times that Vingegaard will be able to take time on Roglic in this race will be enough to take him down.
And with all due respect to the man, but yeah, like Enric Mas was some of the competition for those Vueltas. Yeah. So like a peak Vingegaard or a peak Pogačar were not there. Correct. Not saying Roglic can't win, but
he nearly lost to Carapaz.
Yeah. Sometimes he scraped across the line against those guys. So you got to be on against Vingegaard or Poggi, but Poggi won't go and Remco probably won't go, which is a shame. How do you think Schelmoes will fare?
I reckon on this
he'll struggle.
Core,
I think they're hard and steep, those climbs.
7th in GC.
Yeah, I think that's about right. 5th or 7th. What about Kuss, defending champ? We haven't mentioned him at all. We didn't pick him for a stage.
Send him to Guangxi. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
What?
Just kidding.
Why are you turning heel?
I love Sepp. I love it. Sorry, Sepp. I'm sorry. Back to
I think it's a good route for him. I think it's a really good route for him.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I don't think Jonas will hold back 2 years in a row if he's in good shape.
He won't hold back. Vingegaard is going to be leader because he's going to be better here.
Yeah. But I think it's a cracker, and hopefully there's another third GC guy that puts their hand up, or fourth outside of Kuss, Vingegaard, and Roglic.
What if Kuss tries the same thing and Bora puts Hindley in there?
Like, who's happy with it of the 2 teams?
Who's happier of the 2 teams?
Jumbo.
I think so too.
If it was the Giro, I would say Hindley. It's close.
Yeah.
But in Spain, in the heat, at the end of the season, Kuss has been good in the Vuelta for years.
I think the reason that Jumbo will be happier, or Visma or Yellow Bee, is what they're now going to be called, apparently. What a fucking stupid name is that? Sounds like a 45-year-old boomer that decided to become a rapper halfway through his year in his midlife crisis.
Is that confirmed?
And that's what was being rumored as the Wolfpack name of Jumbo from Wielerflits, which the leak is going to come from Jumbo, because Wielerflits, every article is a leak from Jumbo. Like, Yellow Bee, what's your take on the name? Sorry that I'm going off topic.
Put me on the spot here. Yellow Bee? Yeah, I wouldn't have picked it myself.
Like, you can make so many jokes about it, but
it's the letter B, no?
Yeah, the letter B.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I don't really get it.
It's a reference to bees, but
just go killer wasps. Are scary. You want your name to be like Charlotte. Oh, you got Detroit Pistons, New York Jets, the Vismo Yellow Bees.
The Yellow Bees.
I would
It
go.
doesn't hit.
I would go the Wasps.
The Wolfpack is better, in my opinion. People
Yeah,
joke about
Wolfpack
it being
is good.
cringe sometimes, but it's a good name. Like, in the grand scheme of those type of names.
I would call them the Hive. If you want to keep with bees, call it the Hive.
Yeah.
Hive Mind, the Hive, or the Hornet's Nest, or the Hive, the Wasp. Something a little bit more like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is literally like, I don't know who wrote it, but like maybe one of Philippus journal woke up one day and was like, let me think up a nickname for Visma. Like, I don't know. That's the first I heard of it. But yeah,
it makes sense
like,
though that they would do something like that, because Jumbo has always been internally, to my view, a team that is trying and upset the way they make money in the sport, and maybe having a brand name, because they're staying with yellow as their color according to the sock rumors. As in, there's been a sock reveal, I think in Stone and Meated's Instagram story, that it's still yellow. What are we? This podcast is going to go up after the fucking team presentation, so everybody knows what color it's going to look like.
No, but they're trying to keep the colors consistent, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah,
I think you want to keep your kits pretty similar. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I'd go with the Hive. That's my view on it. Yeah,
Killer Bees. I don't care if the don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can have killer in your name. But yeah, I agree. But Killer Bees is what, people like Mihai calls them the Killer Bees.
I think it's good, man.
Yeah.
So some other person said on my tweet about it, the Murder Hornets, but that was a bridge too far for me.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put that in.
What was
okay,
I saying?
well, hopefully the Vuelta is good. It goes nowhere near me. It's gone the opposite direction, the other side of the Iberian Peninsula for next year, and a lot in the north. I do want to get up there and check some of that out. Don't know if me and Benji will go to the start in Portugal. I guess
I would like to, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it depends how much travel we've been doing. If I get a train easily, but the train is really slow from Madrid.
I guess it's going to be more likely that we might end up together in Andorra again.
I think so, yeah. I think so. Especially, I can't do the heat. I'm suffering here, and then Portugal, and in August is going to be super hot. So I want to stay up in the mountains. I think, but let us know what you think about the route. Did we miss anybody? It's an obvious stage 4. I got a Michael Matthews stage in. Do you think any sprinters will even turn up? Should they bother turning up? Perhaps, I don't know. Will Aaron Broe win a TT, a high mountain stage, a medium mountain stage, a sprint, all in one Vuelta?
You called every single one high mountain stages, so.
Yeah, exactly. A high mountain is just what you make of it. It's the food, the world's your oyster. But I hope you enjoyed it.
The medium mountain is the friends you make along the way.
Dude, every time I go up a little highway, it's medium mountain. It's attritional.
Mate,
kilojoules right now.
A highway over the fucking... No, a bridge over the highway in Belgium, in West Flanders, in my area there, it is Alpe d'Huez for us. There is nothing else.
True, yeah. If you got a headwind as well, you're in trouble. Anyway. Imagine. That's all from us. We'll see you with the team previews continuing on in the next one. Till then, ciao.